Welcome to Talking Trash, and we're at the Perham trade show, and we're going to continue to talk about reusing.
And now we're on to that second R, which is reuse, and that's kind of one of my favorite R's to talk about. It's pretty fun because basically reuse is just lengthening the life of a product.
Such as hazardous waste or hazardous products. If you don't need the paint or stains, you can bring it to the exchange facility. And reuse is another word for that. It's our reuse facility.
Absolutely. And about 5% of our trash nationwide is reusable. So we could reduce that 4.5 pounds of trash we're generating every day just by reusing what's reusable. I love this picture here. It's an old bathtub that has found a new life by being made into a chair.
I love that at my house.
And we talked a little bit about how we use the term recycling to kind of encompass all these different things. But the difference between reuse and recycling is that with reuse, there's no manufacturing involved. You're just taking a product and you're using it for something else, or you're extending its life. So because there's no manufacturing involved, there's no pollution involved either. That's why it's ranked higher in that hierarchy than recycling, because recycling is actually taking the plastic bottles, chipping them down, melting them, remanufacturing. So there is some pollution involved, not to mention the pollution that's created in the transportation and all of that. Recycling is still a great thing, but you just want to be reminded to plug it in as the third R. So reduce first, reuse second, then recycle. Reusing, the concept of reusing also encompasses borrowing or renting items. If you're not going to use something on a regular basis, if you can borrow or rent it, we're cutting down on.
I don't need this anymore, so I'm giving it to Jess. So she's going to reuse it.
Exactly. Donating your clothes instead of just throwing them in the trash. I'm always amazed when I'm out at our transfer stations in Ottertail County how many textiles are in our trash, which really could be reused, by donating to an organization. Oh, and repairing items too. I found myself saying this just the other day. It's going to cost me just as much to repair that as it would be to buy a new one. Talking about an electronic item. But we need to keep in mind that there's an environmental cost to things too. So whenever you can repair something instead of buying a new one, that's a good thing for the environment too.
And that I've seen that where it's been added into the 4 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, and rent.
And rent. Or repair.
Or repair. Or restore. I've heard that too. So
they're creating all kinds of R's. This one I just put in here kind of for fun. This is a chandelier, but it's made out of reused Bic pens. So instead of throwing the pens in the trash when you're done with them, you could reuse them or repurpose them. And I don't expect that everyone has time to do this kind of stuff at home. It's just a cute example of one thing that you could do. Oh, you do this.
Yes, I have that. I have one in my car, actually.
Using something that you have at home as wrapping paper, reusing it. Just another thing that you can do for the environment. This is just another cute example.
I love that.
Instead of, having this shopping cart thrown away, someone reused it and made it into a chair. And these are vinyl record inserts. If your vinyl records are all scratched up or you don't have a record player anymore, these were made into coasters. And I had to put this in here because I think my mom is the thriftiest person I know, and she can come up with another use for anything, a second use for anything, even toilet paper holders.
I do that.
Yeah, it's a great way to keep organized. And we couldn't talk about reuse if we didn't talk about disposables, because they're kind of the opposite of reuse. We use something once, we throw it away, we buy it again, we use it once, we throw it away. We love them. We love disposables because they're super convenient. We don't have to do dishes. Product companies love disposables because they're getting us to buy something we're going to use once and have to buy again.
And again.
And again. Yeah, it's just a cycle. So what Sandy and I do is just encourage people to look at their use of disposables. Where are you using disposables most frequently? And to look and see if they could be substituted with a reusable option. Personally, I noticed a lot of the disposables I was using in my life were for birthday parties, baptisms, graduation parties, those kind of get-togethers where there's a lot of people, a lot of family members, and we were using disposable plates and knives and forks. So I went to Salvation Army and I got 60 place settings of silverware for $12. And now, for the last 3 years since I purchased those, anytime we get invited to a family function and I ask, what can I bring? People say, bring your silverware.
Yeah.
So I don't have to bake or cook or bring any of that stuff. I can just bring my reusable silverware. And so nobody in my family has had to buy any disposables since then. So small changes.
And it doesn't have to be anything big. You don't have to do it all. Nope. Just do a little bit at a time, and it all adds up. If we all do a little bit, it works.
Absolutely.
Next week, we're going to talk about the last R. recycling.